this is Tia, and today we're here with Mike Pennino.
What up?
How you feeling today?
It's been a day. It's been a good day.
Yeah, today hasn't been like the best Monday on my side. How about for
I
you?
mean, for the first half, I got the luxury of chilling before I had any meetings or anything. So
Can you tell the world what do you do for a living?
mainly, my main role is as a college pastor at my church. I get to oversee our college ministry, and then there's other things that I handle within our church, like some production stuff, some like video editing stuff. Like a bunch of us wear a lot of different hats and different roles. So
Okay. So when did you devote your life to God and the church? Like when did that start?
being like I don't know the exact day, but it's probably been about 10 years now, and I'm 29 now. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
So that's a long time. So at what point did you realize that you wanted to start making music as well?
it kind of all came together at the same time, really. Like before I really gave my life to God, like I was started getting into hip hop music. I blame Eminem for that.
Oh, okay.
Like it's kind of ironic because when I was younger, it was probably just because family wise we only listened to rock and roll, and I was kind of like didn't really give rap a chance. And then Eminem's song "Lose Yourself" opened me up to listening to more hip hop,
Okay. And
and started digging in more and more into hip hop.
wow. Okay. So were there any other artists that also influenced you?
Like some other artists that got my interest, like I was kind of a sucker for West Coast gangster rap type music, ironically, but I also like Tech Nine. Who else was there? Cypress Hill. I don't know if you've heard of Cypress Hill before.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so you just released a new an album, right?
hmm
Okay, so tell me about the album. When did you start it and how like the whole process of the album?
So the album is called Between You and I, and like the heart behind the album is literally like if I was sitting across the table with somebody, like, hey, between me and you, almost like we're about to get real and raw and maybe gossipy about just personal stuff in my life. And like I hope that through the music that people just a glimpse of the Lord, but even more so like find something to take hold of it for that would bless them, to help them, encourage them,
Mhm.
or anything like that. And it's been a minute since I've been working on this project, low key, because I've been still learning how to operate business wise with music, because there is that whole side of music. Like some people think it's just make music and then you're good, but that's probably like 10% of it. Like
Right.
there's the business side, there's promotional side. Like shout out to Boom Sound and Antoine with all that, like helping me out with some of that, and some other research on my own trying to figure it out. So
Mhm.
been a
Oh,
couple of years of working on it.
oh wow. Okay. So with the album Between You and I, you talk about like some of like your life challenges.
Yeah.
So what can you share with the viewers? Like what was your struggle growing up?
Growing up, like I'd say, which one do I want to pick? I didn't really notice that I was struggling with depression growing up and like OCD growing up, and
Okay.
like that's something I've learned about myself for just the last couple of years, is that I have OCD. Like been going to therapy and stuff like that for that, and been able to learn more about myself, which has kind of been freeing. Um, to be able to understand, okay, this is why I feel the way I feel. This is why I think the way I think, and almost like I'm trying to retrain my brain again. And
Okay.
growing up, like it's just been a process of like learning how to, I guess, I don't want to say recover, but how to, I guess, undo some of the things I've gone through in the sense of like parents' divorce, family issues. Um, well, I also moved from Jersey to North Carolina in between high school, and like, not saying my life was difficult. Like I'm super blessed, but it was mostly emotional and internal struggles wrestling with.
Mhm.
So
Okay. And so when you're making music, do you experience any like triggers like for your OCD?
um, it's funny you mentioned that. Like thinking about it, there's probably a point in time thinking like I gotta write this exact way because OCD is very obsessive compulsive, like controlling, like I gotta do this just right or else it's not gonna work out. But like over the last year or so, being able to tell myself, you know what, like just to express myself however it comes out, like just as long as obviously it flows and hits the pockets and stuff like that. Not to overthink too much of, I guess when it gets to the place of like I should do this or I should do that, rather than I get to do this and I get to do that. Like there's some freedom in that, that because really at the end of the day, like reminding myself, why do I do this? Like it's forgotten for people. And so if I get caught up in like overthinking it, it's probably never going to get done.
Right. Okay. So, what advice can you give to the viewers that also share that same struggle with having OCD? Like, what can they do to get help?
One, I would say definitely therapy. Like definitely go to therapy and make sure that your therapist actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to OCD,
Mhm.
because it's something that it has. There's, I'd say there's misconceptions with it, and like I didn't really understand it too. And like me and my brother both have it, and it manifests itself differently for the both of us. Him, it was a lot like obviously it's all mental, but for me it's kind of more in my head, while for him it was more physical, like different tangible things. And his was a lot easier to see compared to mine, and I didn't understand it, and so it was hard. But therapy definitely.
Mhm.
And the other thing I would share that like helped me is that I'm not my thoughts and I'm not my feelings. Like it's okay to have the thoughts and feelings I have, whether they're positive, negative. Like our hearts and brains pump out all kinds of thoughts and feelings, and it's okay. Like we don't need to grasp hold. Like it's almost like whenever we have a thought or feeling, it's either a signal or a noise. And if it's a signal, it's something to like pay attention to. If it's a noise, just swat it away and keep living your life.
Do you plan on playing your music inside the church?
I'm open to it. I try not to force it. Not for any particular reason. Like when it comes to like I've done stuff with our worship team during like Sunday services. There's been moments I've rapped with the worship team, which has been fun. That's been fun. Um, and then there's other moments where just sharing music with students and stuff like that. Um, but I guess not to let my music be the priority when it comes to obviously my ministry. It's more than just my music. Yeah.
Okay. And so with like the congregation, like the students and stuff, like do they if they have listened to your music, have you gotten any feedback from them? And if so, what type of feedback?
Usually it's good feedback. Like some of the more personal songs I've gotten feedback on of like that was really deep and like I needed that, stuff like that. Had other students say like, "Why didn't you tell me you rapped?" I'm like, I don't know. You now know.
So would you be open to like doing like songs with some of the students?
hmm
Okay. Has that been talked about?
It just something that like at least for me, like whether it's with a student or with a friend or somebody else, like I don't try to force collaborations with people. I allow it to happen organically, because usually when it's organic, it usually sounds better and feels better.
Okay. All right. And what would be like the first step for somebody to get closer to God?
I'd say first thing would be humility, like being open to them, and not like when I say humility, like not bringing in what necessarily other people have told you or what you've heard about them, but like actually pursuing him yourself and letting him showing himself to you. At least for me personally, like when I kind of started looking more into God and like trying to learn more about him, I started reading through the New Testament, and it's like it read me.
Mhm.
And like I didn't really understand at the time, but looking back on it, it was like God was showing me that I needed him and that he loved me regardless of my flaws, my sins, and all that. And he already made a way for me to connect with him through Christ. And so I'd say through Christ is definitely the way. Like, and that I know some people might disagree, and I'm open to talking about it. Like, I'm not trying to slam it down on people or trying to yell at people about it. I'm open to having that kind of conversation. But the more I press into Christ, the more I understand who God is and understand who I am. It's honestly made me a better person. Like, not saying I'm perfect or anything like that, but it's
Mhm.
also made me more have more compassion toward myself.
With the music, what song on the album Between You and I was like, I guess, your favorite song to make?
Favorite one to make. Hmm. Trying to think through 'em. I think probably Yours was my favorite to
Okay.
make because I get to actually, let me take that back. Probably Transparent Part 2 was probably
And
my favorite one.
okay, yeah, because that was the one that I actually liked the most, Transparent. And then the yours
Mhm.
with Thomas Owen. So, um, if you could give like a synopsis of like, or like, yeah, of like the Transparent song, could you give like what it's about?
Yeah. So that song is me being transparent about a time in my life where I contemplated suicide, and this was probably in high school. Just depressed, and it probably was just OCD unchecked, like wanting to have control and not being able to have control, and feeling anxious and like life is pointless, and
Mhm.
like feeling like it's better off to just die. And the thoughts in my head was to just go in the kitchen, grab a knife, and just end my life. And there, like I'd say, for a good amount of time, I was like, no, I didn't. I was too afraid to take that step. But there was a moment I was just like, I think I'm going to do this. Like, I'm actually going to go through with it. And it was like in that moment that I felt like something froze me and spoke into my life, saying, "What about your family? And wait till tomorrow and see what tomorrow brings." And it stopped me from actually taking that step of attempting to commit suicide. And then the fast forward years later, now I have a relationship with the Lord and learning more about who he is and his voice, and like making a connection of like, oh, that was him talking to me. Reflecting on the fact that he's always loved me, he's always known me, he's always cared about me before I ever loved him, knew him, or cared about him, and that he's worthy of my worship. He's worthy of everything that I could offer him. And like at the end of the day, like my life belongs to you, God. Like I'm grateful for you. Thank you for literally saving me.
Right. So the I'm looking at the cover art right now. So who made
Yeah.
the cover art?
Combination of me and my friend Thomas Owens.
Oh,
So
okay. So who is Thomas Owens in your life?
he is a good friend of mine. Met him out through church actually, and he's a local in this area, Pembroke, North Carolina, and just connected with him at church. And he was starting to work on music too, and we just connected through that too. And he makes beats. He does some singing and some. I call it like Post Malone type rapping.
Oh, okay.
But like that kind of style, like it's kind of rap, but he's kind of being melodic with it.
Okay.
Um, but
It's like kind of like an alternative
mhm.
R&B. It's like slow sound, kind of like that.
Yeah, and he's kind of got a unique and orthodox type music, I'd say. Like he put out an album recently, but he actually mixed and mastered majority of the album.
Okay. Mhm.
And basically, the same table I'm sitting at, just set up some stuff on the table that was personal to my life, and had him take a picture. And I took it and put it through an app that was able to cartoonize it, like make it more cartoony looking.
Okay. And
And
what do you know the name of the app?
I can pull it up on my phone.
Yeah, just like I know people might be curious. Honestly, so it kind of looks like you have like a mask on. Like you, I don't know. Do you know who the Jabberwockies are?
The what?
The Jabberwockies.
I feel like I do. Yes, yes,
They're like
yes.
a dance crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like the way it like made your face. It was like you have a mask on.
The app is called Cartoon Photo.
Cartoon photo. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Yes. Okay, so you told me that you are from New Jersey, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So
Born and raised.
do you plan on moving back to New Jersey?
I'm open to the idea of it. Like, to be honest, I think that the Lord's calling me back there one day, probably to do some type of ministry stuff. And I'm wide open to whatever happens.
Okay, so
I
whichever.
still have family up there too, so there's still times I visit too.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Mhm.
So so now that you've been living in North Carolina for quite some time, um,
Mhm.
what are some activities that you enjoy doing in North Carolina that you cannot do in New Jersey?
Gosh. Hmm. This might sound sad. I don't think there is any that I can't do in New Jersey that I do down here.
Really? Okay. What part of New Jersey did you live in?
I was in northwest part of New Jersey, like Lebanon Township, Union Township up there.
Okay, so it was kind of like a rural area.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, okay.
It was
Hmm.
probably a couple hours from the city. So
Okay. All right. Are you into like any of like the outdoorsy activities?
if it's sports related, I'm kind of lame when it comes to nature. I'm like, I don't like bugs.
Okay, okay, okay. Because I'm trying to figure out like if you're into like going mudding and like hunting and fishing. No. Okay, so
No.
that's not
So like sports, hang out with friends, movies.
Are you a gamer?
Not not really, but I do. I like games. Like I'll play different things depending on like what friends are around or what they have. Like I've done. Like right now, I'm real old school. Right now, I got GameCube, so showing my age a little bit.
Okay. And you like Pac-Man?
Well, I got that.
And so this shirt that you have on, is that part of like your church?
No, it's actually a Christian group up in New York called Grateful Apparel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And you support them. Do you think would you ever like go into like making your own clothes?
I have a merch store with Teespring.
I did see that. So
Hmm.
how is that going?
It's going okay. Like I think as time goes on and like with the music doing more of it, like getting a feel for it, I might. I've gotten some advice from a pastor friend of mine about trying to do it more locally, more hands on for me, so it's not online.
Mm,
Like right now, like I think it's really good for where I'm at. With I got all the ministry stuff and music going on. To add another thing can be hectic. So the fact that Teespring does a lot of the heavy lifting, and all I have to do is just put the graphic and choose what kind of clothing to sell, it helps me a lot, and also just to be able to put out that what's the word I want to do, the branding and the merch that I want to put out there. It's
okay.
just a lot simpler, even though I only get about maybe like half the percentage because they do the shipping, the putting the clothing all together.
Right, right. Okay. And the business side of the of music.
Hmm.
So, what advice would you give other artists looking to, you know, take hold of their music and, start promoting themselves as an artist?
I'd say one really good thing, other than knowing like what's the reason for why you want to do music, is to make sure that you do have a job outside of music to save up money to invest in it, because it will take a lot of time unless you got connections like that to raise up money to be able to put into promotion and to paying for beats, to paying for studio time, to pay for somebody to mix and master. Like that stuff can get really expensive real fast. And another thing I throw out there is if whether you're a singer or a rapper, um, when you're looking for beats, either find people you know, or I'd say lease out beats. Because there's a I didn't know this until I really started getting into music, that some producers, obviously they sell their beats online, but some of them actually lease them out.
Mhm.
And they'll be like, if you want to spend $25 on a beat, you can only get up to 50,000 streams, and then you have to re up. And
Oh,
for
see, I
people
didn't know.
starting off, that's kind of more conducive financially. And so you can get a whole bunch of beats for, if you got a bunch 10 beats for $25 each, that's $250. That's cheap for beats.
Mm,
Like
okay.
there's some people that sell beats like straight up for like anywhere from 200 to $1,000. And so
Wow.
if you're trying to make an album and you're trying to get really good quality beats like exclusively for yourself where no one else can buy it, you're looking at like anywhere from like 5 to 10 grand of spending money. So lease beats and have a 9 to 5 or whatever job that has that income coming in, and just keep investing in it. Like obviously, like it'll start off feeling like it's just a side hustle or just something I do on the side, but because it takes a while to really build up, it,
Mm-hmm.
like it's something that it's going to take time to grow. Almost like it might sound weird, but like even like planting in a garden or something like that, plants just don't come up like that. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes resources.
Right. Okay. So the amount of time, like the minutes, if you add up all the minutes on the album, it's like 36 minutes. And
Mhm.
so out of the 36 minutes, like how much time did you actually invest to making the 36 minutes of music?
um, so I probably started working on this album in some shape or form in 2017, and so it's been a minute.
Okay.
Some of that has been because I didn't really. It might have been like my OCD and trying to make it just right. Like my mindset in the beginning was, I need to buy these beats exclusively, so I don't have to worry about um, re-upping a beat or something like that. And so that took time, and didn't have as many connections with other artists and producers like I do now. And also getting caught up in ministry and other life situations, I wasn't as focused with the music as I probably could have.
Mhm.
But looking back on it, like I'm grateful for God I wasn't, because now I'm kind of in a better headspace to handle it than I would have been back in 2017. And so yeah, so probably like recording wise and mixing and mastering, it probably took over the last year to do that part.
Wow. Wow. So, how did you connect with Boom Sound and Antoine, aka Lavelle?
I met Antoine in college at UNC Pembroke, actually.
Oh, okay. Like y'all
Mhm.
were classmates or like you met him in
Um,
passing?
we crossed paths with mutual friends,
Oh, okay.
and we got connected there. And he ended up, I think he moved on from UNCP. Either I forget who graduated first, um, but after we had graduated, we had somewhat connected online some more. Like we were still connected. And this past year, with trying to be more focused on music and putting out music, I ended up reaching out to him
Mhm.
and like for promotional stuff, and it's just been growing ever since there.
Wow, okay. So where do you see yourself? Like what do you want? What's your vision with the music and as an artist?
That's a good question. Like my goal with music is, like I have it on my IG, to help people experience the glory of Jesus, and but more practically, I'm open to it. If it was just to end up being a local thing, cool. But if it was to be more than that, I'm open to it. Um, Basically, sky's the limit, and whatever the Lord wants to happen, I'm wide open to it.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I've also been thinking about like, I know a lot of times people might look at like trying to get their streams up and views up and subscribers up because like financially it'll do better for you, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, but one of the things I've noticed with it is that with more streams and more views, there's more like the algorithms and stuff pushes your music further. And with the message I want to push with music, like that's probably the main reason I'd want to get streams up, is for that message, however it connects with people to get to people.
Mhm. Okay. And one of the songs that you have, you ended in like a prayer. Which song is that?
I think it was Exhale.
Okay. And then why did you do that? Why did you end it in a prayer?
I think because like how I set that up is the first two verses is me venting and just being transparent about two different struggles, OCD relation and OCD with relationships, and then with lust and just temptations in life. And then the last verse was supposed to be, what would God's response be to me being open to Him about it? And so since it was God, technically supposed to be like God on the third verse, like what's my response after hearing Him? And
Oh,
so kind of in that kind of prayer of like, help me trust you. I'm
mm,
still learning what life is about.
okay. All right. So, Mike, I just
Yeah.
wanted to thank you for coming on and talking and sharing a small piece of your story with me. And I'm excited to see where, your path is going to take you and where God's going to take you, because I feel like you have a great message, and just keep promoting that, like, you want to like help and heal people, because right now, like, the world, I feel like, needs somebody. Like, they need some positive energy, and they need
I
God in
think,
their life.
yeah, I feel like with COVID and all the politics and just all the chaos and just everything going on, like it's just showing us more of how broken the world kind of was to
Hmm.
begin with, and
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't seem well.
Yeah. So I wish you the best of luck. And
I
if you
appreciate it.
ever need anything, just hit me up and I'll try to help you as best as I can. Yes. All right, guys. Tia Tia is out. Later.
Hey yo, what's good, bro? I walk in like, hey, good luck. Best believe I keep an ear to the streets and an eye for the freaks. Ain't no telling what been happening in the sheets.